Da, 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 da. I wish I had the ability to actually use the opening to 20th Century Fox. I'm not allowed to. Or usage of the Star Wars theme. Or not. That might be added in post. But the point is, it's the second Star Wars episode of Media Martyrs. It comes with a special fancy title, which I will mention right after the introductions. I am Strauss. I am here with Kezzup.
Martyrs shot first.
Ha. We're also here with Isam.
I can't use these two things together.
We're also here with Phantom Roxas, aka Roxas.
Good, let the butthurt flow through you.
That was an awful, awful impression, and you should feel bad. We're also here with Tash.
Because my microphone sucks.
Uncle Owen, why do I gotta pick up the power converters?
And we're also here with Retro K, man of the 80s, so he probably was alive when most of the Star Wars films were first coming out.
Red Leader, standing by.
Well, I guess that makes me Rogue Leader. So anyway, quite a few things have been happening in the Star Wars universe as of recently, and most is the... Should we start with the sad? Actually, they're all kind of sad. But one's more funny than the others, but we're saving that for last. So I guess we'll start with the death of LucasArts, which has a prevailing... You've probably seen the prevailing image of the symbol with the skeleton. Pirates, it's end of LucasArts, the game been around as we know it. And basically it gave BioWare enough of a leg to stand on to even do anything. So all you BioWare fans, shut the fuck up. You should be the most sad, including you, Kezzup.
Shut up, Strauss.
You can't. You will not have your precious Mass Effect without Knights of the Old Republic.
It's
It's true.
Nah.
Knights of the Old Republic basically made everything Mass Effect is.
Well, yeah, I'm not arguing with you. I just kind of disagree with you on principle.
You have to under the grads, and we need an antagonist for this episode, despite the fact that you already are from the last Star Wars episode.
I'm just the antagonist overall.
Pretty much. And in our last episode, we strike you down with great vengeance and furious anger.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that, by the way.
So, Kezzup, your thoughts?
Well, with LucasArts, once again, as with seemingly everything having to do with Star Wars and life in general, I'm gonna have to play the devil's advocate because I'm really not all that sad about it, and I'm not... Like, I kinda get it, but I'm not entirely sure why people are, like, so sad about it. Stop your breathing and let me explain.
Collective sigh.
Yeah, it's just... Because here's the thing. I want to go ahead and let me quickly search up LucasArts on Wikipedia. Because that's the best place to get information, obviously.
Because as we all know, Wikipedia never lies.
Indeed.
Of course. Actually, they usually cache liars pretty quickly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know, but still.
So going back...
That joke doesn't really work.
So going back, going from the present to the past in that order, if we go by games they actually developed, well, okay, first off, a lot of the games they didn't even, necessarily develop. They just, had their name on it, basically. But even ignoring that, going back, what we have is Connect Star Wars, Angry Birds Star Wars, then there's Star Wars The Old Republic, but again, that was mostly BioWare, Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, Tales of Monkey Island, though that was a re-release. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is, Star Wars, there hasn't been much. Is what I'm trying to say. All the games people keep bringing up whenever people talk about LucasArts shutting down, they always bring up, a couple of games, there's, Maniac Mansion, Secret of Monkey Island,
Sam and Matt's.
Yeah, That
Zombies, My Neighbors, Star Wars Rogue, the Star Wars Rogue Squadron series, Super Return,
exactly.
the Super Star Wars series,
Grim Fandango.
Let's see what else.
Yeah, Grim Fandango.
Thrillville.
We got it.
Grim Fandango.
Indiana Jones and wait a minute, and the Fate of Atlantis.
And there's there's a shit ton of Star Wars games that we could go into. KOTOR, which basically made BioWare actually existent.
Battlefront, which was the greatest thing ever.
No. Yeah, but here's the thing.
And Battlefront 2.
Here's the thing. The vast majority of games that are being named are more than 10 years old. The point I'm trying to make is they haven't really done anything that great in recent memory. So it's not like I'm not
They were
too
prepping.
I'm not. Well, that's the thing. But we have no idea whether that would have been good or not. In judging by the most recent track record,
Exactly. We would never know.
yeah. But I'm not too sad about that because it most likely wouldn't have been good.
Never be completed.
Because a company that has consistently made average to bad games in the past couple of years, their next games will most likely have been average/bad. So I'm not all that torn up about it. Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I'm not too sad about never knowing it. You just move on. You move on.
Looked pretty good.
Yes, it did.
Though
I was looking forward to playing that one. You know, you get to play the role of a young Boba Fett. That would have been awesome.
We're looking forward to 1313.
I don't know.
It was going to be. Well, I was really sure if it was Boba Fett, but no one knows anymore because it never was going to get made. Thanks, Disney.
Damn you, Disney. Bad move.
Could have given them one last chance.
And there was also another game in the works called First Assault, which would have been, which many would probably be the precursor to Battlefront 3, to the long-awaited Battlefront 3.
Well, still, I mean,
that
that wasn't going to happen.
I know.
Some guy released it, kind of.
well, that's the thing. Like,
there's rumor that 1313 may still get released.
It's really small chance, though.
I don't know. It's just, I don't.
Yeah, the chance is so small now. No.
I don't know. It's just, I don't. It's like, I'm trying to think of a comparison.
The point is, it's just, yeah, but you have to understand, Kezzup, the problem is, Kezzup, this is sort of, it's like, it's kind of like what happened to Origin back in the early, mid-2000s, when EA bought them up and basically killed them. It's more about what they did more than what they have been doing. Because I can tell you, Ultimate Iron is shit.
Well,
yep.
We have someone who tells us.
I
thought that way better than we do.
Well, I guess that's the thing. I don't get the whole, base it on what they have done rather than have been doing kind of thing. Because it just doesn't make too much sense to me.
It's just really tragic that LucasArts would end with possibly the worst Star Wars game ever in Connect Star Wars.
Well,
I mean, and I was really I really thought that game would have potential. I figured you'd be like a Jedi with the Connect function, but it turns out it's just a load of mini games.
Well, but that's the thing. It's that's how things tend to work. You've got think about recently. You've got EA's CEO stepped down after SimCity. Microsoft. Okay.
Anyway.
Microsoft fired Adam Orth after he did all that stuff said all that stuff about Always Online. That's the thing. In business, when you screw up that badly, it's over. That's kind of how it works.
Actually, Kezzup, to clear up some of the weird Adam Orth stuff, part of the reason why they fired him was also because he might have accidentally leaked some things in the process.
Yeah.
Which is a big business no.
That's
it was more than just pissing people up. I'm not entirely. It was
pretty much was just a rumor. Pretty much the Always Online thing was pretty much just a rumor up until that point, but
well, that's the thing. You could also take the fire.
You
could also take the point that he was fired because he was basically getting people worked up over something that wasn't true at all about Microsoft, and you could say he was fired because he was spreading stuff that disagreed with Microsoft's actual viewpoint.
And didn't he say get over it to everyone who complained about it?
Basically, everything he did was something you do not do all at once. So there was a lot more than just bad. It was more than just you're using a very bad example, Kezzup.
Yeah, well, I had the other example of I had the other example of EA's CEO stepping down after the whole SimCity thing.
Well, that was also kind of a big debacle too. But the thing is, with LucasArts, they were for the most part making money. They weren't doing anything horribly wrong business-wise. This is that. Disney felt.
But that's the thing. But the thing is, I can't imagine they were making, tons and tons of money. I mean, they may have been pulling a profit, but I can't imagine it was a giant haul.
I mean, this might also be because Disney has its own studios, and why have competing?
Yeah, it makes...
There's a lot probably going around behind the scenes that we just don't get.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just
makes... we're all not business.
I guess it just makes too much logical sense for me to be all that sad about it.
Well, part of the thing is, Kezzup, like I was saying, it's sort of a legacy type of thing, because they basically made gaming as we know it.
They essentially invented the click and point games, pretty much.
Pretty much. They helped create the click and point adventure. They made a whole bunch of other awesome simple flight sims, because if you play Flight Simulator nowadays, it's convoluted, too realistic to the point where only people who honestly want it are going to be able to do it. It's basically it just doesn't work. Secrets of Normandy was awesome. Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe was awesome. A lot of excellent games. What we're trying to say, Kezzup, is just because the past 4 years or so haven't been very good, it's 25 to 26 great years kind of outweighs by bad.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying LucasArts is a bad company. I'm not saying that at all. I don't hate them. I kind of liked their games, but the keyword is liked in the past tense. There wasn't anything they were doing now that makes me all that sad.
Did you ever play the original Knights of the Old Republic just out of curiosity?
Well, no, but I've played the original Battlefront, and that was pretty fun.
I played the sequel for Battlefront. That's more fun because you get to play as the heroes or the villains.
Yeah, it's also just a much better made game. Even if it is a Counter-Strike clone in the end, it is.
Of course, LucasArts. Of course, they're also famous for Dark Forces. Can't talk.
The Dark Forces. You gotta play. You gotta play a lot of. You gotta just play a lot of the early PC games from the '90s. Those were the good ones.
Well, yeah,
it was really
Dark Forces. Again, I'm not saying.
Counter Doom.
I'm not.
What we're trying to say, basically, what we're saying is, it's just a part of our childhood and of the industry just going away. It's basically the reason why we're upset.
But
sad.
I'm more sad about LucasArts not making as good games as they used to, rather than them being shut down. Because the first is really the bad thing here.
The past few games were Star Wars The Force Unleashed, which was at least 7 or 6, which is above average. Star Wars Kinect, the Kinect is a terrible thing to begin with.
I have Angry Birds on my iPhone, and it's fun. It's good. It's okay.
Star Wars Angry Birds. Now, what we're saying, Kezzup, is basically they don't have a chance to redeem themselves.
Well, yeah, but there's you can only have, especially in business, you can only have so many chances.
Well, part of the problem is no one knows why they were being shut down, other than Disney just felt they were unnecessary at this point.
Well, I kind of feel they're unnecessary at this point.
You're kind of gonna be pissing off so many retro gamers.
You don't think I realize that?
We're trying to protect you for this for
We're
one
trying
time.
to protect you,
I'm trying to give my opinion. Okay?
No, we know, and we're trying to explain why we're feeling this way. We get why you feel your way, because it's just I'm not old enough to experience all the good times.
And I get.
And as of recently, I see no point in them being around. That's what you're basically saying.
Yeah,
What we're saying is we're not disagreeing with that statement, because that statement is beyond true. It's absolute fact. Because as of recently, they've been okay at best. What we're trying to say is we wish that they had a chance to redeem themselves with 1313, which was going to be coming out, like, I believe, sometime in the next year or so. And like we said, we are all of us going like, this looks really good. It looked like it was going to be. It also looked like it was going to be for the next gen consoles as well, which is coming out within the next year or two.
Well, yeah, I get.
Instead of having a cross-platform, major next-gen game that was basically built for the next generation, we now wait until whatever Bungie's doing comes out, or etc.
Well, I guess I get it. I get it. I get it to the extent that, like, it's like, oh, LucasArts got shut down. That sucks. That kind of thing. But people are getting, like, really emotional about this. Like, really torn up.
was going to have the Unreal Engine 3.
Like, I mean, I've seen people get a lot more torn up about it than any of you guys have so far. It's not necessarily you, it's just, in general, I've seen people getting, like, really emotional about this.
You have to remember, Kezzup. We're on the internet. Hyperbole is something you must be ready for.
Well, yeah, this is like, I mean, pretty, like, not even, it's kind of, I think it's maybe like a different kind of hyperbole than I'm used to encountering.
Yeah, it's an emotional hyperbole where it's like, this was a part of a lot of people's, like, gaming lives for a long time. And like I said, if you go to when they were founded in 1982. They basically helped create modern gaming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying.
I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
Like, again, I'm more sad that their legacy has been marred by the bad games, the mid to bad games they made near the end, rather than them actually being shut down.
In fairness to The Force Unleashed, it made a better movie in a game in that regard. But hilariously so. But
I just put it out.
Irony that the best Lucas stories for Star Wars that were made. Yeah.
If we were talking about Square Enix and Final Fantasy, we would basically be saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
like if they got shut down, we would.
Yeah, I guess that actually is kind of a good point. In the way, like, I wouldn't be sad. What?
I think what that really says is that when it goes away, you try to remember the good times when you care about it, and I think that's what actually we're doing. It's like, and also, like, Square Enix is the same way. We're more upset that it's gone away than it's gone.
I don't. I guess I just don't
it's
share.
The memories, man.
I guess I just don't share that mentality. Or maybe I'm just not into many things where I can have that mentality.
No, it'd be like a great way to put it is if BioWare, like 10, 20 years from now, BioWare gets shut down. We're still doing this, and everyone has a beard besides me. In fact, I will only have a mustache by that point. And that you will be here saying what a shame it is that this once great company makes the same career path, is what we're saying.
Yeah, but
it has to be something you're really into to really.
I guess, but I'd expect myself to more be like, it's a shame that this once great company, like, there's like more of a male phrase to this, because I'd think be more sad about, like, it's sad that this great company had to take such a downfall to the point that they were canceled. Not just skip straight to, it's such a sad thing, this once great company was canceled. Like, there's kind of more to it, I think.
Also sad because it's one of the few things we should also mention a rather hilarious point. It also could have been something that I could have gotten a job in. That too. That's the real sad part. A lot of people lost a job.
Yeah, that's really because, I mean, we need to bring that up because people are making their livings off this.
That's the true kicker there. Is that, we're complaining about silly things and a bunch of people lost a job and possible future jobs. That's the big one.
Yeah.
It's really, in the end, Kezzup, what we're trying to say is there was a lot of good times. There were some times. This is one of those bad times. Sadly, it's an internal developer. Because basically all of it went to Disney and around.
Yeah. Strauss, hold on.
And they had over 300. They had over 350 employees. Okay, now we're talking about the expanded universe, which recently also got the proverbial heat death of the universe to its own universe. Who wants to start us off before I do the angry part of the podcast? Or do I have to just start raging now?
You can do whatever you want. You're kind of the host of this thing.
Well, if you haven't already heard, due to episode 7 being created, basically the entirety of the expanded universe got thrown out the window. To give you an idea here, that's everything from between the movies, about them, and made after the movies, and before the movies, and in between every set of movies, has just been thrown out the window. To give you an idea here, that's about 36 years of work.
Wait,
just
so
thrown out.
Does that mean
Shadows
of the Empire is gone?
As far as I know, yes.
Wait, what
Does
about...
that include the cartoons like Droids and Ewoks and the Clone Wars?
As far as I know, everything has been thrown out the window.
What about the video?
Oh,
what about the video games, or were those ever in canon?
I know Force Unleashed was canon, but
yeah, Force Unleashed was actually a lot of it's canon too. Star Wars
the Lego Star Wars was faithful to the movies, obviously, in a Lego way.
They don't count those. Those are those work canon kinda. Let's see. I know all the Jedi Outcast trilogy was canon. All the novels were canon for the most part, with a couple of exceptions. Most of the comics were canon, except for a few that were explicitly non-canon or have yet to be confirmed. As far as I know, pretty much everything was canon.
Well, that's
even the Lego games.
Lego games are not technically. Their stories are. Yeah, those were really just adaptations.
Yeah, those are just retellings, really.
No,
so
technically, yes, they were canon.
We've still got the Lego games, at least. Yes.
Yes, the Lego games, which are good. Yeah, they have the Media Martyrs seal of approval.
Except for me, I don't like the Lego games, actually.
I'd rather watch the Lego Star Wars.
You really are trying to...
You
really are trying to get everyone to hate you.
I'm not trying, I'm just succeeding. But
you're like, it was like you're actively trying just to piss everybody off. Anyway, pretty much everything...
The Angry Bird Star Wars, which was faithful to the trilogy?
That's an adaptation, that doesn't count.
Yeah, I don't...
Oh, well, thank God.
I'm not sure how that would have been accepted into canon. I would love to see them try, though.
But it counts as a good Star Wars.
Give you guys a good idea about the canon of Star Wars. Like I said, that's about 36 years of work thrown out the window.
36 years of work down the drain? Oh, no.
Everything that was made after the film was released that isn't the films themselves are basically, as far as we know, thrown out the window. Mind you, bit of hyperbole here since we don't have any answer of whether or not any of this is true. But pretty much all my peripherally material on stuff about Star Wars is basically now officially wrong.
Okay, let me put it this way. Everything is about as canon as everything before the DC reboot.
Yes, pretty much.
Unless it's written by Jeff Johns or Grant Morrison.
I just personally, I like not even like that big a Star Wars fan. I don't like.
That's kind of.
I'm in general I'm just in general against retcons, no matter how bad the thing you're retconning is. So basically, retconning like they're basically retconning.
Everything.
Basically, if you were to, I guess it's not technically like this, but if you were to put basically every like book or animated thing or whatever on equal par with the movies, they basically retconned like 96% of the Star Wars universe. So I'm not pretty a big fan of that.
Yeah, pretty much 96 of the universe. I mean, we definitely know everything after the original Star Wars trilogy is now officially retconned out, as far as we know.
Yeah.
I mean, everything beforehand is iffy at best. So basically, what we're saying is the only thing we can probably confirm that has been thrown out the window is everything after Episode 6.
Yes.
Which is still, is at least like 30, that's a good like 30% of like written work right there.
Yeah. That is terrible.
And as far as we don't... I know, exactly. That's
40 cakes. And that's terrible.
Yeah. Now this is beyond that's just terrible. Like, this is what... whether or not your feelings in Star Wars is good or bad, there's some good stuff in there that... Like, there's the trilogy with Admiral Thrawn. There was the Luzin Vong War, which none of you have heard of. It was okay. Like, there was a lot of stuff in there that's now just gone. That didn't happen. There was the rather silly return of Emperor Palpatine, which was rather amusing. I'm not gonna explain it.
He's a clone.
Yeah.
Clone
plot.
Everything's a clone.
But I'm like, Spider-Man is right on for over a year.
Everyone's a clone.
I think I'm a clone.
You're a clone, and you're a clone, and you're a clone.
Anyway, so, what's everyone's thoughts and feeling on the, pretty much destruction of majority of the Star Wars universe?
Yeah. I don't know.
Exactly. At least a sour taste in your mouth. It's just like, pretty much. Really? Yep.
Yeah, it's... What's the point of it? Like, why? Why did this happen?
At least everything... Initially, because of Star Wars Episode 7 being released, being nothing to do with the rest of the Star Wars canon, therefore it would not be either... It would either be non-canon, would make no sense. It would probably be... It's because basically Disney's releasing a 7th movie.
Don't...
And basically... That's why pretty much everything after Episode 6 is being thrown out, because it wouldn't make sense otherwise.
This isn't boding well for me going to Star Wars 7 at all, really. Like, again, I'm not even that much of a Star Wars fan, but just like in defense of all the other Star Wars fans. I don't know.
But you can understand why they're pissed.
Yeah, I do, very much so.
It basically... like, screw your ending to Mass Effect 3. Our universe literally just got destroyed.
Yeah. That's...
In fairness, I never really was that much of a fan of the expanded universe. Like, I didn't really...
Yeah, you didn't have to really like the expanded universe, but now that everything you might have liked about it might have been gone, it's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, that's actually, I don't have much to say other than that's terrible.
Like, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what can you say? Then that's because everything before it might possibly be okay, but that's still in the balance. Like, basically, as far as we know, everything that happens after episode 6 is gone for good. Everything that happens everything that happens before episode 1 is iffy at best, because we don't know.
Yep. Star Wars.
So in between stuff might be non-canon. Or
it might be. It's like everything that happens after the movie is gone, goodbye, no existence. Everything before it is depends, and we don't know. Everything that's in between is also. But like I'm saying, I think you guys can understand why I'm saying.
Yeah, like I'm not even.
My hands just going.
I'm not even like that. Like, I don't really care that this isn't like the most discussion we've ever had on something. This is just, we're letting Strauss have his moment here because that does really suck.
Yeah.
I have so many things, and now they mean nothing.
Oh.
I got DC rebooted. I've been DC'd.
Strauss,
See what you've done.
Strauss,
what is the equivalent to Wally West no longer existing?
Yes, but instead of Wally West, that's majority of the Star Wars. Everything. So that's more than it's let's see, that it's Stephanie Brown, Wally West. What are other beloved characters that were thrown out the window?
Cassandra Cain, Jade, Obsidian.
Basically, every character that you missed in that did not return for the DC reboot, it's basically the same thing, and then some. Because at least most of at least a lot of the popular characters survived, right? Like Batman is still Bruce Wayne. Clark Kent is still Superman.
Tim Drake is still Robin. Wait a minute.
It's more of a case of now a lot of them are popular. Thrawn's gone. Let's see. Damn, there's a lot of characters.
Wasn't there like a thing where like every single alien in the cantina scene like has like a backstory and like has stories written about them?
Pretty much. A lot of them do.
Man, now that's gone.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of like stuff in the Star Wars universe that might be in the bounce and or is being completely thrown out.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And there's also a lot of cool ships that are now being thrown out. Like I would point you guys to a lot of the character guide stuff and ship guide stuff, because there's a lot of cool stuff that is now being completely thrown out and saying, yep, never happened. And there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of goofy and stupid shit that's being thrown out that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Because, writers sometimes are dumb. But there's a lot of good stuff being thrown out.
Yeah. So, I think we have one more thing to talk about on this episode before we're done. And...
Yep, and it directly concerns our youngest member. Here we go.
Okay.
So, before we start, let me explain what's about to happen. Now, last time we had a Star Wars episode was episode 4, so you have to go back some time.
Yeah, I think...
Kezzup made his first major gap.
Yeah, actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in case you haven't heard it yet. I'll just go ahead and play what I said so we don't have to repeat it, actually. Flashback. Yeah.
No, okay. No, and keep in mind so that I haven't seen the Star Wars films in a bit, so this isn't I'm not too incredibly hardlined on this opinion, but okay. Not only do I like Episode 1, not only do I like the prequel trilogy, I actually think the prequel trilogy is better than the original.
So, yeah, that happened, and people, specifically the people here, did not react incredibly well to it.
I told you!
Your tears.
To me.
Your tears are delicious.
I knew this would happen! I knew it would happen!
What? How could this happen to me?
And so basically, but the thing people pointed out was that I didn't actually get to really explain myself on that.
There is too much talk. So now this is attempting to explain himself, and we'll judge whether or not his reasoning is any good.
You're probably gonna say no because you're you guys and it's the
Now,
internet.
before we start, we should mention, before we start recording, I asked everybody else, except Kezzup, because that would make any sense, if he could actually give us a good enough explanation to actually make us go, okay, that's fair. Across the board, 0% chance of that actually happening.
Great. That's fantastic. Glad you guys have faith. Though, to be fair, I actually
have any faith in you right now.
Yeah, we don't have any faith.
Yeah, to be fair, it's like because I know
faith no more.
What I'm gonna say. I think I have fairly sound reasoning, but it's still very opinion based, and I feel you guys are going to very much disagree with that opinion. Because okay,
well, here's your chance to actually prove us wrong, to prove yourself wrong,
okay.
and
okay, let's try this. I've thought about it a bit. I think the best way I can describe like what the prequel trilogy has over the original trilogy is it's more dynamic, I guess. I don't want to go like into a whole like it has better. I'm not saying like it has better effects and therefore it's better necessarily because that would be stupid.
Right, because that's just progression of effects.
Yeah, but it's more like I find it.
That one's just I mean, in one case,
it's more. I feel it's a lot more. It's a lot better. I guess one part I definitely find better with the original Star Wars is the set design. I mean, no, the prequel trilogy. I find better like the set design and the costuming, that kind of stuff. I find that better in prequel trilogy.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
How much of that is due to technological limitations? Because that might be a problem here, because you might be driving yourself into a hole, and we're going to try to make sure you don't dig in any deeper than
it's not, again,
because we don't want you getting lynched at Comic-Con next year.
No, it's like, okay, there's the effects stuff, I think that's better in the prequel than the original, but I admit that's more just because the prequel trilogy was like the 2000s and the original was like the 80s and that kind of stuff. But it's, when it comes to like the colors and the set design, the costumes, I feel that wasn't much of the time more as it was just the prequel trilogy doing it better in general. Like, it just sticks out in my mind more. Like, they're, like, it's a lot more interesting to look at. I'll say that. And I that's not the only thing, of course, but that's something has over it.
There's a shallow reason.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's not.
It
was a poor. That was probably a poor thing to lead off because that's definitely not one of my main.
Yeah, that was a bad. that's an addendum, not.
Yeah, that was.
What's your next point?
I feel bad because I'm usually against that kind of when people do that stuff. So I very much apologize.
We'll count that as an addendum. An addendum we might not agree with, but an addendum. So what's your first actual point that we won't actually have to put into addendums?
My main actual reason for liking the prequel trilogy more than the original trilogy, I find the original trilogy to be kind of bland sci-fi. Like, there is nothing really there at the original trilogy, like, I guess to compare it, like, to Mass Effect, cause I know I do that a lot, but this makes sense because they're both sci-fi stories. Mass Effect, the whole reason I fanboy it is there's a lot to be interested in, a lot that makes me want to go deeper, like, oh, the Krogans have a really interesting history, like, or, oh, Kepler syndrome is this really interesting thing, I want to learn more about this stuff and about the universe in general. I've watched...
That's what the expanded universe was for, but oh wait.
But that's...
and we just went through this!
Yeah, but
I need to get my books!
No, but that's the thing.
have them.
Like, I've seen the original trilogy. There's just nothing really in there that really makes me want to go any deeper, to explore it anymore. When it's supposed to be something you've explored more, and it is something that people have explored more, and I was never able to get into that.
Hold on.
The prequel...
So you're saying we don't have to go deeper.
I guess we can just reverse... No. We need to do that in reverse. Actually, we need to do the Inception noise, but backwards.
Yeah, I think you covered that. But I guess I'm not, like... Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and clarify. Everyone's pressuring me about this, like, I say I like the prequel trilogy more than the original trilogy. I don't care all that much about any of it, really, which is why I'm surprised I've been talking so much this episode. Because I don't really care all that much about any of it. I'm just saying I like the prequel trilogy a bit better than the original because I'm at least more interested in it.
Yes.
Basically, the problem I have with your argument, Kezzup, is that I could easily flip that to someone who does not give a shit about Mass Effect, and it's the exact same type.
But that's the thing.
Your problem is you just don't give a shit about the universe.
I think that's a problem though with the universe, because if you can't care about it, because I've never met anyone who said I tried getting into Mass Effect, but the universe didn't make me care enough about it. I've never met someone who said that. I think the problem with the universe.
The problem is also, I don't think it's necessarily a problem with the universe. I think it's also a problem with the format as well, because you can't really explore the Star Wars without going through a lot of stuff. You have books, comic books, games, movies, cartoon series, possibly non-canon cartoon series that were already kind of not so canon already, but were probably much better than one we had at the time. We're looking at Star Wars and Clone Wars.
Well, you saying the Clone Wars cartoon wasn't that good?
Well, no, the Clone Wars CG cartoon is good, but the one...
It went downhill after season 2, in my opinion.
The Gendy Tartakovsky one is better.
I remember
Wait, okay, hold on a second, guys. I did realize something good about this. With all the non-main movie stuff not canon, that does mean the Star Wars Holiday Special isn't canon anymore.
I don't think that was ever that was technically considered canon, but no one ever pretended like it wasn't. Because no one wants to remember that it happened.
Lucas.
And if there's ever a Mass Effect Holiday Special that's the same case, which would actually be rather amusing.
A Mass Effect Holiday Special?
Oh God. Yeah, exactly. Oh God. You thought the Star Wars Holiday Special was bad. We found a way to make it worse. Make it with
Who would be the special guest on that?
Probably a lot lesser stars, because I don't think they're going to find something as good as Tavros and Stars.
Yeah, but that's another thing. Like, I guess to get back on, like.
No, but my point is, not everyone's interested in the Star Wars universe, and not everyone's interested in the Mass Effect universe. Just because you haven't met someone who isn't, it doesn't mean they don't exist.
I guess, but it's like I could.
Like there are people who are not interested in Star Trek. Questioning what happened.
Yeah, but still,
your explanation isn't bad. It's just technically very broad.
I guess.
Clearly, I'm not much a Trekkie or a Star Wars fan. I'm just into the trilogy movie.
I guess
and the video game. That's what made me a fan. And the cartoons.
I'll also just say, like, with the prequel trilogy, everyone's always like, oh, you know, Jar Jar's like, a lot of the stuff people say about the prequel trilogy that's terrible, I don't exactly agree with. Like, Jar Jar, I'm not saying he's the best character or anything, I just really don't mind him.
That's more fanboy hyperbole, though. I think that's a problem, too.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just, I even said, like, we can...
we all admitted on this, I think we all agreed that the prequel that bad. Are they very good?
Yeah, like, everyone... I guess... Okay, I'll say this. Give me... I guess, to better help me with trying to make my own argument, give me reasons why the original trilogy is good.
Well, for starters, there's a sense of cynicism. Because that was one of the problems, especially with Episode 1, was that...
Because the prequel trilogy is about Darth Vader's fall to become Darth Vader. The start to darkness.
Yes, his descent into the dark side.
Exactly, but the problem is, especially in Episode 1, because after Episode 2, the general hatred dies down, and it's certainly accepted in the nerd hive mind that Episode 3 was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no one hates Episode 3. It's not their favorite.
Although it has spawned a lot of infamous memes.
Oh yes, of course. The famous.
Go ahead.
No.
That was that should have been a scream of rage, not a regretful no. Like, I will defend the no as making sense. It just should have been something else.
Yeah.
Because he accidentally killed his love.
Yeah, he killed his wife and possibly his children. I would probably be. But it should have been anger, not should have been a no. It should have been just a scream of anger. This is something where the Lego games did better by having him just go berserk on everything.
Yes.
Yeah. That would have made much more sense.
In the movie, he's just like he's still whiny.
You know, he's like, part of the problem is, like, in Episode 1, Anakin is so, like, too innocent to make it seem like he... Exactly, it's, as brought up by other people, it's like, Darth Vader at never point in his life should have gone with yippee.
Yeah.
It's weird. That'd be like Sauron going, huzzah!
That would be like Megatron going,
or Sam going, oh wait, that's the.
And seriously, what do you have to be happy about? Yippee! I don't have a father and I'm a slave.
Exactly. It's like that. I mean, that's a problem of script and direction right there.
Parentheses. This is bad.
Like there are good aspects to the prequels that when you get by, but the problem is, like, there's no explanation to why he goes from being, you know, this kid who's clearly way too innocent to harm a fly to Darth Vader. Like, there is an explanation, but it's like from point A to point B, it's like you go from being cute kid to whiny teenage Anakin, and there's a scene missing, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
Mama died.
I'd say
yes.
That's because but there's like he already was kind of complaining and a bit whiny from the start of Episode 2, but there's got to be a reason why he becomes Hayden Christensen, who was a bad acting choice, by the way.
Really?
It was going to be Leonardo DiCaprio. Been a much better choice. Yeah,
That
Leo was actually the choice.
Not sure if that would be good.
Notice
or bad.
how much better that's.
Leonardo DiCaprio is
but
never
it's better than
bad.
Hayden.
He's never
Yeah,
bad.
he's never been bad, but
Okay.
he turned it down because he felt the script wasn't that good, which is true. But in fairness, none of the Star Wars scripts
I
are
agree.
particularly
Wait, who
great.
turned down what?
But Leonardo
Leo
DiCaprio turned down the part of Anakin Skywalker in Episode 2.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's like, notice how much better that would have been than Hayden Christensen. That's the second problem with a lot of the prequel trilogy, is that there's some bad casting choices. I mean, I will give Ewan McGregor a lot of slack because Sir Alec Guinness was way better than he ever probably will be. Award-winning actor versus Ewan McGregor.
Well, yeah, I guess my thing is, I don't think, like, I guess I'll give the original trilogy the acting over better acting over the prequel trilogy, definitely. But I still don't think the prequel trilogy, besides like friggin' kid, I'm blanking on his name right now. Jake Lloyd. Yeah, Jake Lloyd.
I feel bad for Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, I get it. I get like he was like 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever at the time, and like you're very rarely a good actor at that age. But still, you had to watch
exceptions. Yeah, there's that kid from Hugo who was like 7 at the time.
Yeah,
Hugo
that was good. But
he was good.
Still, but even still, I don't find the prequel, besides like Jake Lloyd and stuff, I don't find the prequel trilogy acting like that much worse than the original trilogy.
But there is cases where it's a step down, and Ian McDermott goes overly hammy with.
Oh, also, though, I will go back. I'll go back a bit and say, you said you told me like the problem with the whole like getting into the universe thing was you could really say that about anything, and it's a really hard like thing to place. The bigger point I was trying to make is the original trilogy didn't make me at all want to get into the Star Wars universe. The prequel trilogy actually did more, not like that much, but more than the original one did.
Yeah, but, well, my problem with your argument is that it's like part of this might be, like, as I said, might also go back to a technological limitation. I mean, one is, we can now green screen, fantastic worlds that we could never do. Like, there's the world Felucia, which is, giant jungle planet. That's cool.
So
you couldn't really.
I'm not saying
like
I'm not saying it's like I guess that could be part of it, but I still think it was just kind of.
I think that's part of it. That's what I'm saying.
But I think it's like I think it was just a part of what they set up and how they set it up because to use a similar example, actually, I'm honestly more interested in the Flash Gordon universe than I am the Star Wars universe.
Well, in fairness to Flash Gordon, it's so weird and so also all like 30s sci-fi, which, like, that era of science fiction is so insane, like, and illogical and just weird costuming, especially in the movie, which is kind of boring in the second act, by the way. And that bugs me, because that first and third act are great.
Yes.
That second act just gets kind of bogged down and boring. Which we will give the Star Wars movies this credit, all of them. They do not get boring in the second act.
Yeah, but I find the original trilogy boring, I guess is the best way to sum it up. I find it boring.
How do you find that boring and not the prequels? The prequels are boring. Like, the Phantom Menace. That movie is boring.
Phantom Menace,
okay.
That's the biggest problem with the Phantom Menace is that, like, it's a 6. It's a 6 or 7 movie.
Okay,
but most of it is just so meandering. It's way too long.
Okay,
and so many fucking Senate hearings.
Okay, to exclude...
Yes.
Okay,
intergalactic politics.
Excluding, like, the 15 minutes of pod racing, I don't, like... I guess it's not... let me find a way to phrase this. I still, like, I guess it goes back to the word I used at the beginning, dynamic. Like, I guess even if it is kind of meandering at parts, it's more interesting with that meandering. Like, it's more, I guess it's more, not necessarily over the top, but more energized.
Here's a good Now, here's a good question. What parts are meandering in the original trilogy?
No, I don't think it necessarily meanders in the original trilogy. I'm just saying, I just think the stuff that does happen is kind of boring. Not necessarily that it takes too long, it's just kind of boring. Like, heck, the climb... Why? I guess, it's just... I just didn't... There was a lot in the original trilogy that I don't feel that there was as much, like... Well, that's weird. I said I preferred... I guess on a technical level, I still prefer the original trilogy's acting over the prequel trilogy. But it feels like there was a lot of... There was, even if you could argue it was, like, bad emotion, like emotion in the wrong places, or, like, badly acted emotion, I feel like there was more emotion put into the prequel trilogy than there was the original trilogy, which made it at least more captivating.
I'm not saying that at all.
I guess I'll take a kind of, like, fluctuating, like, kind of somewhat bad at points, kind of, like, emotional kind of thing, than I would just a flat, like... I'm not saying they didn't care when making the original trilogy, I just don't feel they did all that they could with it, and I guess that just kind of disappoints me.
I think I know where you're going with this, and the only thing I can say is that I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, so far your argument, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, I'm trying my best here to get what you're trying to say. I get, like,
it might be part...
No, Tash goes first, and then you can go.
I was gonna say, like, at the end of the day, like, comparing Phantom Menace to A New Hope, what exactly was accomplished? Like, really of interest compared to A New Hope.
I'm not... See, here's the thing. I think I guess this isn't too much about, like, arguing trilogy versus trilogy.
So, like, especially with the Phantom Menace, like, I agree with you, Tash. Like, in the end, what did the Phantom Menace really accomplish as a whole? And I can't really think. I'm trying to think, because you bring up an excellent point.
I think, see, here's the thing. This part isn't necessarily me arguing prequel trilogy versus original trilogy. I'm just saying, when you bring that up, that's the point I want to make. I feel people kind of have a tendency to think very literally, plot-wise, about the meaning, like, what, like, a piece of a franchise can mean as a whole. Take, for example, to bring it up again, Mass Effect 2, which people have pointed out, and I do agree with them. Plot-wise, you can cut Mass Effect 2 out of the trilogy and just have Mass Effect and Mass Effect 3.
Mass Effect 2 brings up stuff.
I can answer this question. You want me to? I can say what Phantom Menace accomplished. Although it basically boils down to the entire movie being set up. Okay.
Exactly. That's the problem. The entire movie of Phantom Menace, it's set up. Like, honestly, you could have, like, it's literally set up, and but it's not a very interesting setup either.
Oh no, that's where I disagree. Like, I'm not saying it's incredibly...
But no, here's the thing. Kezzup, I need to ask you a question. I haven't played the Mass Effect game, so that's why I need to ask this, because it's going to be important to my argument once you're done.
Okay. I have to.
Did Mass Effect 2 carry important thematic reasons for it to exist?
Like,
thematically, would you say it's important?
Thematically, I'd say not necessarily, because each game kind of more had its own theme. No,
I mean, like, overall, through the myth arc, because there's the arc of the game, and then there's the myth arc, but to the entire myth arc, is it important?
I'd say, that's a tough one. I'd say... Because,
like... Go on.
Cause I'd have to... I'm replaying through the games now, and I'd probably be able to answer this better if I had finished it running through it a second time. But I'd say the games kind of have more different themes that all kind of, like, they're different emotional themes, they're different themes, they're told kind of different ways, but they ultimately kind of come together.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest problem with especially with the prequel trilogies, that the biggest problem is, for a lot of people, is that they don't fit in the overall myth arc. Like, they fit overall in the myth arc, like, once you set it all down, kind of, but, like, especially the Menace does not fit in the overall myth arc of both the original trilogy with the prequel and the entire thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the whole problem with me making this argument...
I think we already know what our next versus is.
Here's the thing. I don't like this. I don't like this argument. Not because, like, it's a bad argument, not like you're not making good points or anything. I don't like it because the whole point of this is, from the very start, I don't care. And I never thought about it that much because I don't care about it.
I do think, though, and like, kind of, this is your homework, because I think we've reached a point where we're just going to go around in circles now.
Yeah.
Is that answer that question of why you don't care? Because as far as I can tell, it's that you just don't care, and we're fine with that. Because, like, for example, I don't give a shit about Doctor Who.
Okay.
I don't care. I'm not saying anything good or bad about it, because, let's face it, every single thing has its good and bad points. Yeah. My question to you is, find out why you don't care.
Yeah, I'll actually...
And then we can continue this discussion either... It's an interesting question of why you don't care.
I'm actually going to add on to that question and give myself more work. I'm going to ask myself, like, try and rewatch it if I can, and ask myself, not only why don't I care, but why I care slightly more about the prequel trilogy than I do the original.
Because it's a weird argument that I can't figure out. So everyone's homework is why you don't care about something. Tell us why, and I can give you mine for Doctor Who. It just hasn't sparked my interest.
Is that like, is the next episode going to be the not caring episode?
No, that's just a joke. Anyway, basically, Kezzup, next time...
Because I haven't contributed at all.
Yeah. You attributed a lot in the early part of the episode, and that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's really just been you and Kezzup back and forth, and
you can do that. In this episode, you are great. No, Izum, in this episode, you're Moff Tarkin, and that means you died in the Death Star.
Oh. Whatever. I think we should wrap this up, though.
My connection died again. I had to look at the key again.
You know, I might have, I'm not gonna say it right now, this might be a tease for a future episode, but I might have just thought of the possible reason why I care more about the prequel than the original. But it might not be right, I might have to look into it more, but I think I might have that reason.
Look into it. It just became the mostly Tash, Kezzup, and me show for a while there.
We apologize to...
It happened.
We apologize
to the other three of our co-hosts for that. We're sorry. But it will happen again sometime, so...
Yeah, but I guess...
I guess that's where I put the addendum of... we should remind ourselves that the next Versus episode is basically... was literally me just going, alright, that guy won.
Yeah.
So basically the next Versus episode will be Star Wars versus Mass Effect?
That's
not really an argument that really works.
Yeah.
Unless we get a Trekkie involved.
Do we know any Trekkies?
Yeah, it'd be something hilarious.
To the phone book.
Next first episode is Stross and I debating about Wind Waker.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Basically, I guess
Sailor versus Phantom Rock.
Okay, I guess we can sum up this episode as, God, what did I do in the past life to deserve the hatred of so many Star Wars fans?
Well, I guess the sum of the episode is
what happened to LucasArts was kind of sucky. It was more sucky for the people who were working at LucasArts, who pretty much got laid off. That's the worst part. Expanded Universe, retcons suck.
Yeah.
What they are. Unless they're, like, retconning something that no one wanted to see happen, which has happened a couple of times. And finally, last one is, Kezzup needs to do homework because he needs to actually really think about this argument because it's fascinating.
Well, yeah, but
and
to be fair, you guys did kind of...
And Izum is Grand Moff Tarkin because he died in episode 4.
You guys did kind of force me into this argument, kind of.
Well, you should have seen that one coming, in fairness.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I didn't think about that much because I don't care. And this podcast, this podcast has just forced me to care.
Not necessarily forced you to care, but to find out why you care. So you now need to go back, watch all the movies, and decide, why don't I care? Because, like, I'm okay with it just being you just don't care, but it's going to be why you don't care. I mean, in my case, I don't care, like, for example, in my case, I know why I don't care about Doctor Who. It's something I'm not interested in. So I don't want to add another thing to obsess over compulsively like I do with Star Wars and waste my money on it. I got enough stuff to waste my money on.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
But
in this case, you probably own most of the Star Wars movies because of other people in your family.
I'm actually staring at all 6 movies as we speak. So I'm covered on that.
Exactly. So you don't have to spend money on them.
It's more about the time.
As you're staring at the all 6 movies, the original trilogy is staring back at you, judging you.
It's
Darth Vader is looking at you.
Why did you do this?
It's kind of funny. A more philosophical person than me could figure out what this means. But the original trilogy is actually boxed, like it's boxed, and like they're all in this one little section. And then next to it is the prequel trilogy, which is just kind of free and like kind of cluttered and very.
I have the
original trilogy on VHS, and then the special edition and the DVD of the.
I like what Cash you were saying. It's like a great metaphor for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And probably for this podcast as well, actually. I think this is Media Martyrs signing off for now. We'll be back sometime in the oncoming week. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next week.
Who knows?
We're doing something.
We never know.
What was I? At the
Breaking up again.
Breaking up, Strauss.
Universe, which unlike LucasArts, did not start sucking any times. Motherfucker!
Strauss, did you update Skype?
What's hilarious is during Strauss's rage, I'm looking at this picture of a kitty, and it makes it a lot funnier somehow.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just for all of your pleasure, here's the picture of the kitty that I'm looking at.
Okay.
You can look at it while Strauss rages. That's our Strauss rage cat.
Duh. You should put that in the episode.
I will. This can be our host.
Yeah, it seems wrong.
Yeah, put a hang in there, kid.